Welcome back to the Antique Clock Shop. Okay, this is the movement out of the Art Deco Ingraham Mantle clock. And we're going to start taking it apart and get it ready to get it into the sonic cleaner. So the first thing we got to do is we got to get these C-clamps around the springs and take the power off the clock. And put that in there like that. Turn it around here so I can see what I'm doing. Sometimes they go on easy, and sometimes you gotta fight them a little bit. There it is. Alright. I'll go ahead and put this other one on so I won't have to flip the clock around once the movement around. So we'll get that out of the way now. Alright, flip it over. And we got to get to the spring clicks. I got to be careful I don't bend any of this. Take the toothpick out of there. The letdown tool here. Put that on the arbor. It's a little awkward on this one because you got to try not to damage anything on the underside of it. Alright, let me take a little screwdriver here and get the click off, spring click. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but it's going to be stubborn. Usually I can get them to pop up and over the click there so I can relieve the spring tension. This one's not going to cooperate. Well, just going to have to hold it with my finger, I guess. You got to be careful because this thing can get pretty wild when you don't pay attention when you're unwinding the power, so... Alright, here we go. Slowly let it come off, the power come off. There it is. To the next side. That's a challenge on that one. Let's see if I can switch hands here, make it a little easier. Make sure that clamps up in the middle of the spring there. Alright, power's off of it. Now I can flip it back over and start taking apart the movement. We gotta get the suspension spring out of the way. Get it out of the crutch. Now we got to take the pallet and crutch off. this way. There we go. Alright. And I usually like to put this back up on there so it doesn't get bent back up on that little post. Oh, this thing's oily. Alright, now we're going to start taking off the little nuts here. Make sure you take pictures. That way you can put it all back together the way it came apart. Let's move this out of the way here. Alright. Doesn't take long to take them apart. You just gotta make sure you got photos of where everything goes, because it could make it a pain to put it back together if you don't know where everything goes. I can usually figure them out, but it just takes a little while longer if I don't have any photos, because you do so many of them. A lot of them are similar, especially the American clocks. The American clocks are a lot easier to work on than the European or the English clocks. You can look at that. It looks like somebody bushed it already. You can see bushings in here, which is alright, because now you know you don't have to worry about the things already been fixed as far as the plate wearing, the holes wearing out. And somebody already went through and bushed them. They left the bushings a little long. I like to get them flush to the plate. Everybody's different. It works. That's all that matters. Okay, so pop the plate. Where it gets a little tricky. So everything's going to want to move on you. You just got to watch that escapement wheel here, right here. You don't want to drop that and bend any of those teeth. See, you got one sticking. This one down here is sticking. Got to keep him so I know in the right spot, so I know the location of where that gear is supposed to go. Just like that. Slowly lift them up out of there. Get that escapement out of there. Well, it's going to be tricky. There it is. Let's see. The time side's going to be on this side. Alright, now I'll get my photos. Okay, we'll finish on the time side. So this is the next gear. You want to make sure you keep the time side on this side, and whatever side, sometimes the time side's on this side, but whatever side you want to keep, like the time side, all the gears over here, and the chime side, all the gears over here. That way you don't intermix them there. Let's see. Photo. And that oil is what's making these things stick, because that oil's dried up in the pivot holes on the plate, and it's making it hard to get the gears apart. Still got a little bit of power on there. See if we get this mainspring out of here without knocking everything over. Okay, we'll start on the chime side now. The governor out of the way. Oh boy, there we go. I didn't think it was going to come out of there without knocking everything out, so I didn't know where to put everything back. That's a little different the way this setup is. Yeah, just when you think you've seen them all, it's always something a little different on these clock movements when you go to take them apart. And there's a lot of simulations, there's similar stuff, but then there's stuff that's totally different. I've never seen this setup like this on the chimes before. It's a bim bam chime, but I've never seen the way they got like a little cam in there. It's kind of neat. See how they're together? I've never seen that either like that. Boy, this thing is oily. Way too much oil. And you want to take this count wheel off too. You just, if you look, that little there's a little keeper there, brass keeper. You just gotta pull up on it a little bit. Just get a fingernail in there and just turn it. It'll come off, and then you'll just slide that off. It takes the wheel right off. Alright, the next step is to get it over to the sonic cleaner and get everything cleaned back up, and we'll start putting the movement back together. And I got to clean up the case on that clock and fix the bezel. So our next step's to get this over to the sonic cleaner and get all this oil off of it and get it back together. Alright, thanks for watching.